All right, let's jump into this deep dive into A Course in Miracles, shall we? I got to say, this book is really something else.
It's definitely unique.
It is. It's like it's got this spiritual philosophy thing going on, but then it also throws in like practical advice, and it's all in these numbered statements, which I find kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's not your typical self-help book, that's for sure. It doesn't just tell you like what to think.
Right.
It really makes you look at like your whole view of reality. It's almost like it's holding up this mirror
Yeah.
to the way we normally see things and being like, hey, are you sure this is how it is?
That's what I thought too. It's like you read a statement like, I see nothing as it is now.
Yeah.
And you're just like, whoa, hold on a sec.
Right.
What does that even mean?
It's a pretty bold statement.
Yeah.
And to understand it, I think we need to look at like one of the core ideas in A Course in Miracles.
Okay.
Which is the idea that there's two worlds.
Okay. Two worlds. Like like a real world and a fake world.
You could think of it that way. It talks about the real world as this place of like pure truth.
Okay.
And unity and love,
Okay.
And then there's the world we see like every day, the one we experience with our senses.
Yeah.
And Course in Miracles says that's the one that's actually an illusion.
Okay, so is it saying everything we experience is like fake? That seems a bit extreme.
It's not necessarily saying it's fake, but it's saying our perception is kind of distorted.
Okay.
Imagine you're wearing glasses that make everything look red.
Uh-huh.
Like the world isn't actually red, but
Right.
but that's how you see it because of the glasses.
Yeah.
A Course in Miracles is saying our ego and our fear, they act like those glasses.
Interesting.
They're kind of twisting how we see things.
So our thoughts, like literally creating the world around us.
Now that's where it gets really interesting. A Course in Miracles is actually really clear on that point. It says, my thoughts are images that I have made. So while like events might happen out there in the world, how we actually experience them, the meaning we give them, that's all coming from our thoughts.
Okay, I'm starting to see how that connects to this idea of seeing nothing as it is now.
Yeah.
It's like we're so caught up in our own heads that we're not really seeing clearly.
Exactly. And this is where another really big idea in A Course in Miracles comes in.
Okay.
The idea that forgiveness is the key to happiness.
As someone, who's into personal growth, that definitely resonates. But honestly, sometimes forgiveness feels kind of impossible.
I get that, but A Course in Miracles goes deeper than just saying like forgive and forget. It's not about like condoning bad behavior or anything like that.
Okay.
It's about understanding that that when we hold on to anger, resentment, all that, we're the ones who stay trapped in that illusory world, that world of pain.
So it's almost like forgiveness is taking off those distorting glasses.
You got it. It's about breaking free from the ego's grip, Forgiveness ends the dream of conflict here, it says.
Okay, so this is starting to make more sense. But if forgiveness helps us like dismantle the illusion, how do we actually start seeing the real world, that world of love and unity that A Course in Miracles talks about?
Well, it's not like a light switch,
Right.
It suggests it's a process of shifting our perception.
Okay.
And there's something called the Holy Spirit that plays a key role in all of this.
The Holy Spirit. Okay, so now we're getting into the more spiritual side of things.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay.
But A Course in Miracles actually presents a very practical view of the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
It describes it as like an inner guide, this teacher that's always there to help us see things differently.
So is it kind of like that little voice of wisdom we all have inside, but maybe we don't always listen to it?
You could think of it that way. The Holy Spirit looks through me today, the text says. It's about connecting with a perspective that's beyond our ego, one that goes beyond all that judgment and fear.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So if the Holy Spirit is always there, how do we start, actually listening to it?
Well, A Course in Miracles is full of practices.
Yeah.
Things like quieting our minds, listening for those intuitive insights and asking for help.
Yeah.
We'll get more into those practices later, but the takeaway here is...
Wait, before we move on, there was another quote that really jumped out at me. It said, "It is impossible to see two worlds." What does that actually mean?
I think that quote gets at this fundamental choice, this choice we're always making. It's like we're at a crossroads, right?
Okay.
And we can either keep looking through the ego's distorted lens,
Yeah.
Or we can open ourselves to a different way of seeing things.
So it's like we can't be in both worlds at the same time.
Right.
Okay.
And A Course in Miracles says that until we start questioning those old ways of seeing things, we're going to be stuck in that illusory world, missing out on all the peace and joy of the real one. But choosing to see things differently, well, that's where the idea of miracles comes in.
Miracles, like supernatural events.
That's a great question. And it gets to another area where A Course in Miracles kind of flips things upside down.
Okay.
So A Course in Miracles, it defines miracles not as these big, showy events, but as shifts in perception. It's about those aha moments when we suddenly see things in a whole new light.
Okay.
And that shift, it brings healing and it helps us let go of fear.
So it's more about like an internal change rather than, parting the Red Sea.
Exactly. It's not that like external things can't happen, but the real miracle is the one that happens inside us. It's recognizing that what we thought was impossible, what seemed fixed and unchangeable can actually change when we choose a different perspective.
Okay. I'm starting to see how all this connects. But, we're talking about changing how we see the world. But it's not just about, like, positive thinking, right?
Right. A Course in Miracles goes way deeper than that. It challenges us to confront this big obstacle to inner peace.
Okay.
The ego.
The ego, yeah, that seems to be a big thing in a lot of spiritual teachings. What does A Course in Miracles specifically say about it?
It paints this really vivid picture of the ego. Like, it describes it as this part of our mind that's just obsessed with separation and fear and attack even.
Yeah.
Think of it as that inner voice, the one that's constantly like whispering all these doubts and criticisms, making us feel like we need to protect ourselves, that the world is out to get you, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's like the ego is building walls around us, keeping us from that love and unity we talked about earlier.
That's a great way to put it. And A Course in Miracles says, flat out, the ego is a symbol of separation. It thrives on like judgment, comparison, that whole illusion of being separate.
I can see how that kind of thinking would keep us in this loop of fear and conflict.
Exactly. But here's the good news. A Course in Miracles also gives us a way out of that.
Okay, good.
It teaches us to recognize the ego's tricks,
Okay.
and to choose thoughts that are more aligned with forgiveness, with understanding, with compassion.
But isn't it natural to want to defend ourselves?
Yeah.
To get angry when someone hurts us?
Sure. But it's not about like suppressing our feelings or pretending we weren't hurt.
Right.
It's more about seeing that those reactions, they often come from the ego's need to be right, to be in control, to see ourselves as separate.
There's this one statement from A Course in Miracles that comes to mind. It says, "What I see is a form of vengeance." What does that mean?
That statement's really powerful, because it goes right to the heart of how the ego works. When we're all wrapped up in judgment, resentment, it's like we're trying to punish the world.
Yeah.
Like it's saying, you made me suffer, now you have to suffer too.
Wow, yeah, when you put it like that, it really does sound like vengeance.
It is. And obviously that's not going to get us any closer to peace or happiness.
No. So what's the alternative? How do we get out of that cycle of attack and vengeance?
Well, it comes back to forgiveness, but A Course in Miracles takes it even further,
Okay.
It says, it teaches us to see forgiveness as an act of strength, actually.
Strength.
Think about it. When we choose to forgive, we're choosing to let go of that need to be right, to be in control, to punish. We're saying, I'm not going to let this hurt define me. I'm choosing to release myself from this.
It's like we're taking back our power. We're not letting the ego run the show anymore.
Exactly. And that's what A Course in Miracles is all about, really.
Yeah.
It's about remembering who we truly are. Not these limited egos, but these divine beings connected to this source of love and wisdom.
That's beautiful. And it makes me think of this other statement. It says, "My attack thoughts are attacking my invulnerability." How can we attack our own invulnerability?
That's a really great question, and it highlights this really profound idea. A Course in Miracles teaches that, like, at our core, we are invulnerable. Our true essence, our divine spark, it can't be harmed.
Okay.
But the ego, that part of us that's all about fear and separation, it's always trying to convince us that we're vulnerable, that we need to protect ourselves.
So when we think attack thoughts, when we judge and criticize, we're basically attacking ourselves.
Exactly. We're reinforcing the illusion. And A Course in Miracles offers a way to break free from that. It teaches us to see those attack thoughts for what they are, the ego's attempts to keep us trapped and to choose a different way of thinking.
It's starting to seem like so much of this comes down to awareness, like being aware of our thoughts, our reactions,
Yeah.
the stories we're telling ourselves.
Absolutely. And A Course in Miracles provides this framework for cultivating that awareness. It encourages us to question our assumptions, to look beyond the surface, to see things with fresh eyes.
There was this one statement that really got me thinking. It says, "I do not perceive my own best interests." Now, at first glance, it sounds kind of harsh.
Yeah.
Like we're calling ourselves stupid or something.
Right.
But I think there's more to it than that.
Oh, definitely. This statement, it's not about like putting ourselves down. It's about recognizing that we're often operating from this limited perspective,
Yeah.
The ego, with all its fears and desires, it's always clouding our judgment, making us think we know what's best when in reality,
Right. We're actually making choices that keep us stuck.
Exactly. And A Course in Miracles offers a different way. It encourages us to surrender to a higher wisdom,
Yeah.
to trust that there's a plan, this plan that's much bigger than anything our little egos can come up with.
So it's about letting go of control, not trying to figure everything out, being open to a different path.
Exactly. It reminds us we're not alone. There's this force of love, this Holy Spirit that's always guiding us.
I'm sensing a theme here. It's like A Course in Miracles is always calling us to surrender, to let go of that tight grip the ego has on how we think things should be.
Yeah, you're really picking up on a core message of the text, and that surrender. It's not about weakness.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that there's a wisdom, a power that's much greater than our own.
Okay.
And that's orchestrating this whole experience. It's about trusting that we're exactly where we need to be, even when things are tough.
That's really reassuring, actually. It's so easy to get caught up in worrying about the future. But A Course in Miracles seems to be saying, hey, let go, trust the process.
Exactly. And speaking of trusting the process, this part of the Course also goes into this idea that everything's a lesson. All things are lessons God would have me learn, it says.
So even the tough stuff, the heartbreaks, the setbacks, those are all opportunities for growth.
Exactly. It's this radical shift in perspective. A Course in Miracles invites us to see challenges not as like punishments or random events, but as these carefully orchestrated experiences.
Okay.
They're designed to help us wake up to who we really are.
That's a powerful way of looking at things. And it makes me think about this other statement that says, I can escape from the world I see by giving up attack thoughts. Is that connected to the idea that everything's a lesson?
Oh, absolutely. When we're all caught up in attack thoughts, judgment, blame, we're basically resisting those lessons. We're creating a world of conflict and suffering. We're keeping ourselves trapped.
So letting go of those attack thoughts is a way of opening ourselves up to the lessons.
Exactly. And those lessons, even when they're hard, they ultimately bring us closer to the peace and happiness that we all want. It's about seeing that everything's happening for our benefit, even if we can't see it in the moment.
It's starting to feel like A Course in Miracles is like this roadmap for spiritual awakening. It's showing us like what to avoid, what to practice, and where we're headed.
That's a great way to put it. And the beautiful thing about A Course in Miracles is that it's a journey of self-discovery. It doesn't give us all the answers. It invites us to explore, to ask questions, to discover our own unique path.
Speaking of self-discovery, there's this statement that says, I am not a body, I am free. That seems to get to the heart of what it means to awaken.
It does. That's such a powerful reminder. We are not our bodies, not our thoughts, not our emotions, not even our personalities.
Okay.
We're something much bigger, something eternal, something boundless.
Is A Course in Miracles saying that we should just ignore our bodies, like live in some kind of spiritual bubble?
Not at all. It's about recognizing that our true identity, it goes beyond those physical limitations. It's about seeing the body as a vehicle,
Got
a
it.
vehicle for our spiritual journey.
So it's like we're driving a car. We need to take care of it, but
Right.
we're not the car.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. And A Course in Miracles wants us to to get in the driver's seat, to take responsibility for our thoughts and our beliefs, to create a reality that's aligned with our true nature.
I like that. And that brings us to another statement that says, only my condemnation injures me. What does that mean in the context of everything we've been talking about?
Well, it means that the only thing that can truly harm us, the only thing, is our own judgment. When we buy into the ego's stories, the guilt, the shame, all that, we create this prison of suffering in our own minds.
So it's not about denying that bad things happen, that people hurt each other. It's about recognizing that our reaction, our interpretation, that's what determines our experience.
Exactly. A Course in Miracles teaches us to challenge those judgments, to see things from a different angle, to choose thoughts that are more loving and understanding.
It's about remembering that we always have a choice.
Yes.
That we're not victims.
Yeah.
And that we can create a better reality for ourselves and the world.
Beautifully said. And that's why this part of the Course really emphasizes this idea of trusting in a higher power. I place the future in the hands of God, it says.
Letting go of control, trusting that there's something bigger taking care of things.
Exactly. And that surrender, that trust, that's the key to real peace. Because when we let go of the ego's grip, we open ourselves up to miracles.
Speaking of miracles, there's this statement, it can be but myself I crucify. That's a pretty powerful image. And it seems to connect to that idea that we're not our bodies.
Yeah, you're right. This statement, it's about recognizing that when we choose fear over love, judgment over forgiveness, separation over unity, we're basically crucifying our true selves, our divine essence. It's like we're nailing ourselves to this cross of illusions.
So the real crucifixion isn't something that's happening to us. It's something we're doing to ourselves.
Exactly. And of course, in Miracles, it gives us a way to break free from that.
Okay.
It teaches us to see those ego-driven thoughts for what they are, illusions that keep us trapped, and then to choose a different path.
It's like we have this choice to keep crucifying ourselves or to embrace our true selves, our wholeness.
That's beautifully put. And this brings us to another important concept in A Course in Miracles, gratitude.
Gratitude. Okay.
Yeah.
How does that fit in?
Well, A Course in Miracles says gratitude is more than just saying thank you,
Okay.
It's a state of being. It's this awareness of the abundance that's always there.
So it's about shifting our focus from what we don't have to what we do have. From complaining to appreciating.
Yeah, exactly. And A Course in Miracles reminds us, it says, love is the way I walk in gratitude. It's recognizing that love and gratitude, they go hand in hand. When we're walking in love, we feel grateful. And when we're grateful, our hearts are open to more love.
It's like this positive feedback loop.
Yeah. And this part of the Course also suggests that true gratitude is connected to our purpose.
Our purpose.
It can be but my gratitude I earn, it says.
Okay, wait, we have to earn gratitude.
No. It's not about earning gratitude from someone else, It's about recognizing that gratitude that's already inside us. It's about expressing it.
So it's about living our purpose, living that love, and that naturally makes us feel grateful.
Exactly. And this leads to another important point. A Course in Miracles teaches that real peace comes from knowing who we are. It's hard to feel peaceful when we're all caught up in those illusions of separation, of not being good enough.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And this section of the Course reminds us, it says, there is no peace except the peace of God. It's about seeing that lasting peace. It's not about things being perfect on the outside. It's a state of mind. It's this deep inner knowing of our connection to God.
It's about remembering that peace. It's our natural state. It's always there when we turn inward.
Beautifully said. And this section, it concludes with this affirmation, let me remember I am one with God.
Wow, that's powerful.
It's a reminder that we're not alone, We're part of something so much bigger. We're connected to this source of love, wisdom, everything.
And that brings a sense of peace, a sense of purpose, something the outside world can't give us.
Absolutely. And I'm really starting to see how A Course in Miracles isn't just a book, it's a journey.
Yeah.
It's about peeling back the layers and remembering who we truly are.
It is. And this section, statements 140 to 200, it lays this amazing foundation for that journey.
It does.
Encouraging us to surrender, to see everything as a lesson, to remember that we're invulnerable, to be grateful.
Yes, and I'm sensing that these themes are going to keep coming up as we move forward.
Oh, definitely. A Course in Miracles is like this spiral path.
Yeah.
It keeps revisiting these key ideas, but each time we go deeper.
Exactly. It's a journey of constant awakening, remembering who we are, seeing the world through the eyes of love.
And that leads us to the next section, statements 201 to 239, where we'll keep exploring this idea of forgiveness, the ego, and the power of perspective.
Yeah, these statements, they offer more guidance on that path of awakening, helping us to really understand forgiveness, to see through the ego's illusions, and to experience that transformative power of choosing love over fear. And I'm telling you, there are some real gems in this next section.
Well, I'm excited to dive in, but for now, let's just take a moment to reflect on what we've learned.
That's a great idea.
What stands out to you the most from what we've discussed today?
For me, it's this idea of surrender that keeps coming up. It's like A Course in Miracles is always reminding us to let go of how we think things should be and trust in something bigger.
That's powerful. And it's not easy, is it?
No, it takes practice, but it's not about being passive, It's not about giving up on our dreams. It's about recognizing that there's this force of love at work, and when we align with that, well, anything's possible.
It's like being in a river.
Yeah.
We got to trust that the current's going to take us where we need to go.
Yeah. I love that. And that trust, that surrender, that's where real peace and freedom come from. It's about letting go of the ego's need for control, the fear of the unknown.
It's about letting go and letting God.
Exactly. And I think this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
As we keep exploring A Course in Miracles, we'll see how this surrender can really transform our lives.
I'm excited to see where it takes us.
Yeah.
But before we go, I want to thank you out there listening for joining us on this deep dive. I know it's a lot to take in, but I hope it's given you some new ways of looking at things.
Yeah, it's been a joy sharing these insights with you. And please keep exploring A Course in Miracles on your own. It's a journey, not a destination. And the more we open ourselves up, the more we'll discover.
And maybe that's a good place to leave it for today.
Yeah.
If A Course in Miracles is right, if we're responsible for what we see, well, where do you want to focus? What needs a little more forgiveness in your world? Until next time, keep choosing love. All right, so here we are, diving into the next part of A Course in Miracles, statements 201 to 239. It's amazing how this book just keeps circling back to these core ideas.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
But every time we revisit them, it's like there's this whole new layer of understanding.
It's true. It's like we're going up a spiral staircase,
Yes, yeah.
We keep seeing the same things, but from a higher perspective each time.
I like that.
And this section, we're getting into some deep stuff here.
Okay, like what?
Forgiveness, the ego, the power of choosing a different perspective, really, really powerful stuff.
Okay, well, there was one statement in this section that really stood out to me. It says, "I am determined to see things differently."
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
It's like a declaration,
It is.
Like we're making this commitment to break free from those old habits of seeing the world.
Exactly. And it points to this idea that changing our perception, it's not passive.
Right.
It's an active choice.
Okay.
It takes a willingness to question what we think we know,
Yeah.
To challenge our beliefs, to be open to seeing things in a new way.
It's like we're being asked to become like conscious creators.
Yes.
To take responsibility for our own reality.
Exactly. And this ties into another really powerful statement from this section. It says, "Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world."
Okay, that's interesting. It's like it's taking forgiveness beyond just a personal thing.
It is.
Like it's suggesting that forgiveness can actually like change the world around us.
Exactly. It's saying that when we forgive, we're not just letting go of resentment, we're actually helping to create a shift in consciousness.
So it's like when we forgive, we're not just helping ourselves, we're helping everyone.
Yes. It's about remembering that we're all connected.
Yeah.
That our thoughts and actions, they have this ripple effect. And when we choose forgiveness, we're breaking that cycle of judgment, of attack. We're offering healing, offering compassion, not just to ourselves, but to everyone.
It's like we're radiating a different kind of energy,
Yes.
like a light that can push back the darkness.
That's beautiful. And A Course in Miracles makes it clear that power to forgive, to heal, to bring light into the world, it comes from our connection to something bigger.
There's another statement here that really struck me. It says, "My holiness envelops everything I see."
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's like a direct challenge to that ego perspective.
It is. It's reminding us that our true nature is holy.
Okay.
That we're part of something vast, something sacred.
So it's not about ignoring the bad stuff in the world.
Right.
It's about recognizing that there's something divine in everything.
Exactly. It's about shifting our perception, choosing to see things with love, with compassion.
And this brings us to another big theme in this section.
Okay.
The ego's defenses.
Yes.
I've noticed that A Course in Miracles doesn't shy away from talking about the ego. It's like it really understands how it works.
It does, doesn't it? It really lays it all out. And in this section, it gets even more specific about those defenses, specifically the defense of projection.
Projection.
Projection. Like when we see something in someone else that we don't like, something that bugs us, makes us uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The ego, it wants to blame them, to project those qualities outward.
So it's like we're seeing our own stuff reflected back at us,
right?
But we don't want to own it.
Yeah, exactly. And A Course in Miracles says projection makes perception. It's saying that when we do that, when we project those unacknowledged thoughts and feelings onto others, we're actually distorting how we see reality.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's like we're looking in a funhouse mirror.
Yeah.
And everything's all warped and distorted.
Exactly. And this connects back to that idea that our thoughts create our reality.
Yeah. I get that in theory, but it's hard to actually live that way.
Oh, totally. And that's why A Course in Miracles keeps coming back to it. It wants us to really get this, to integrate it into our lives.
And in this section, it gives us this powerful reminder. It says, "I am responsible for what I see."
That's a good one.
It's not about blaming ourselves for everything, but it is about acknowledging that we have a choice in how we see things.
We do. We can choose to see the world through the eyes of the ego, all that fear and separation, or we can choose to see through the eyes of the Holy Spirit, love, unity, abundance.
So it's not about pretending that everything's perfect. It's about choosing to see things from a higher perspective.
Exactly. And A Course in Miracles says that shift in perception, that's the key to real peace and happiness.
And there's another statement here that really resonated with me. It says, "My salvation comes from me." Like we have the power to save ourselves.
It does, doesn't it? That's a core message of A Course in Miracles. It's about recognizing that the power to heal, to transform, to awaken, it's all within us. It's about taking responsibility for our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions, and choosing to align ourselves with that love and wisdom that is our true nature.
It's about remembering who we really are.
Exactly. It's a message of hope, a message of liberation, the possibility of a world transformed by love. And as we keep going with A Course in Miracles, we'll see this message unfold in even more and more amazing ways.
Before we wrap up, I just want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive into A Course in Miracles. It can be a lot to digest, but I really hope it's given you some new things to think about, some new ways of seeing yourself, seeing the world.
It's been a pleasure. And please keep exploring A Course in Miracles. Make it your own. It's a journey. The more you open your heart, your mind, the more you'll discover.
And maybe that's a good takeaway for everyone listening. If A Course in Miracles is right, and we are responsible for what we see, well, what do you want to see? What needs a little more forgiveness, a little more light? Until next time, keep choosing love.